Welcome to Irena Hentea's Kitchen. I am so glad you could join me today. We have a fabulous show planned for today. It's the bounty of spring, and we're going to feature vegetables that are freshly picked today, freshly picked herbs. We have some mint freshly from the garden that we're going to use in a dessert, and we have some amazing flowers to show you and to inspire you. So we're going to use asparagus in today's dinner. We have some sorrel that we're going to add to the salad. We have mint from the garden that's going to go into the dessert, and fabulous salad from Johnny Putt Farm in Littleton. I've mentioned that in other shows too. This is from the Harvard General Store. And we have some fabulous flowers that I just can't wait to show you what we can do with. So I want to take you on a little tour of my tulip patch in my garden. So this is in a corner in my vegetable garden. So this is a view of the whole patch. I have so many tulips here planted. I plant them in the fall. And I'll come in a little closer. I also have some sorrel right here, the green that you see. I've put that in salads, and you can put it also in soups. And here's the tulip combinations. So some of them are taller, some of them are shorter. So I got different colors and color combinations. Do email me, Irena at irenarealtygroup.com for additional info on tulips and tulip planting. And I'm going to get in a little closer to some of the different ones I've got here. And I plant them in the fall, so in another episode down the line, I'll remind you about tulip plantings. Aren't these glorious? And this right here is the delphinium, the green. And that's gonna bloom a bit later. And then here's my pink and white color combinations here. I have a bit of yellow here, and coming up to this wonderful patch. So yes, tulips in the garden. So you saw the beautiful tulip patch out into the field, out into my garden. I am so glad you had a chance to see that. And I want to show you some tulips from my garden. I actually picked them on my way to the studio here. And also want to show you a really wonderful bouquet of muscari and what to do. On last month's show, I did a bouquet with muscari and some daffodils, and I hadn't picked too many of them. So the muscari are the blue ones, these are the daffodils, and I actually have three different kinds. So I have 1, 2, and you can see even in the stems, they are so very different. So first of all, I had already made this bouquet and prepared it on my way here, and kept it in the refrigerator for a day so I could show you. And you can see how different heights really make a difference here. You can keep it like this, and the muscaris grow. Sometimes they grow in clumps, and I wanted to show you. I picked this from my garden, and right here, this is kind of where it was underground, and kind of up here is where the growth is. And you can see in comparison to the daffodils, they are much shorter. But this daffodil variety is fairly similar. One of the thoughts is to just keep it like this, lots of flowers all the same. Or you've got 3 little tiny daffodils. And let me give it a little quick snip. Every time you put them in the water, you want to give it a fresh, quick snip. Okay, so we'll put the shortest one in, and I can do the other 2. Place them in, either here kind of together, and you can see I'm just doing it a little bit to the side. So you can do this. You could also add these two in there as well. I almost kind of like it this way, just that way, and then maybe do these ones in another bouquet. And you see how I have this one longer. So let's see, if we do them all the same height, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fresh snip right here. Now, ideally, I would put these in a much smaller vase, kind of like with a thin top right there. But you can see, even if you just have 3 flowers, how beautiful that looks as well on your garden. So here we have 2 different kinds of, let's see if we could put this in the middle. How would that look? So 2 different kinds, daffodils and muscari. And let's work with the tulips. So I do have a lot of tulips in my garden, and I have loved it. It's just been such a fantastic thing to like see the burst of color. And as I said in the video, a couple of months down the road, I'll remind you that if you'd like to plant some tulips in the fall, then is the time. So I picked a bunch, and I have them right here in this glass bowl. I have kind of 2 different tones of colors. And I know oftentimes I do my bouquets in a mason jar, but this time I am thinking of keeping, this is actually a tulip vase. I've showed this last month too. This is from my brother. I've had this for over 20 years and just love this vase. And this one's not necessarily, maybe it is perfect for tulips as well. I love the shape of it. It's just a little bit different. So the first thing to do here would be to look and see. So when I was picking the tulips out of my garden, I was a bit mindful of the color combination. So I have here pinks, and I have here red and yellows. So I will set them aside. So first I'm going to separate them. So this is a bit of white. This one can go with either. This is a newer variety. And I have here a pop of red, which I am going to keep on this side. I know I'm going to love it. So actually I'm going to use this one in each. It will tie them together as arrangements. This is some white and pink. Move them over to that side. I have a bit of yellow, so the yellow and red are going to really help that arrangement. I have, these ones are called parrot ones. And here's another parrot one. I absolutely love these. These were in that shot, in that video, in the garden. And this is so interesting. This is from one stem, and it's got 2 blooms. And look how it blooms over from the side too. Just absolutely fantastic. And look at this gorgeous one that's double. All right, so let's see. These ones go this way, and this one goes this way. All right, so now I'm gonna move my bowl, and let's see. I've got the 2 vases, and as I'm looking at these this way, these are shorter because they're a shorter variety, so you have to be very mindful that they will reach the water. So start with a couple of long ones in first to and this is smaller, so these 2 are long. This one is also long, and this one is short. I will have that more towards the edge. This one is a strong pop of red. I will keep that. Well, let's see. I also want to do the yellow nearby it. Okay, let's see. Kind of towards the middle like this. Okay, that looks really great. This one has a little bit of green to it too, but it's the yellow parrot. And this one's got these sort of more, well, subdued colors. All right, so let's see this. So you can see as you've got your tulips, you've got a couple of them shorter and then some that are fairly long. I think this is quite good. Maybe the only thing is I might want to move this little one so it's a bit more prominent. I think I'd like it over here. All right, so let's see. So there we go. Play around with it, find what really works for you and what's pleasing, and you can change it. The next day you change the water too. So let's look at the pink and yellows, not yellows, pink and whites. So let's start with this white one over here. We have almost a peach apricot in there. All right, so let's see these. Okay, there we go. And remember to freshly snip them. I have done that right before I put them in that bowl. Oh, this is really, really turning spectacular. Okay, here we go. And we have this one, which is the same as in here. We'll put this over. Let's see. I think I want to do it right over here. And one more. Okay. And that's the beauty of tulips. You can make such amazing arrangements in just minutes, and it's lovely. And if you can grow them in your garden next fall, plan for it. It's definitely worthwhile. Meanwhile, if you don't have tulips in your garden, you can find quite a few of these varieties. I know these ones for sure, and these glorious ones at Concord Market. They have tulips from Five Fork Farms in Upton, and you can also go to their farm in Upton on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. They have opening. They open the farm, and you can come and purchase. They also sell them, I believe, in Lexington and in Cambridge. So contact me at Irena at irenarealtygroup.com, and I can let you know exactly where you can find some of these wonderful tulips. Okay, so we are ready now to prep the vegetable portions of our dinner. So we are going to make fresh asparagus. This was freshly picked today from Hutchins Farm in Concord. And I love, these are purple asparagus, and they're thicker. You can sometimes find at the store just the very thin ones. But I love these. The thicker ones are great for baking. And we are going to prep the salad. We also have some oyster mushrooms from Fat Moon Farm and you can find these at the Harvard General Store. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prep the asparagus and the mushrooms to go in the oven. We then are going to cut the onion that we're going to prep for the salad. So those are the first couple of things to do. The salad, as always, we just put it together at the end, but we'll prep the dressing before that. So let me get started first on the asparagus. So it's very important to wash them. And when you do use these for baking, you also want to dry them. You definitely don't want to put them in with water. And I will tell you why, because it will just bake a lot better. So I've got 2 towels here. My hope is that I'm gonna be able to dry both of them. Let me move this out of the way. So here we are. All right, so let's do this one at a time. So if you have to, which is what I do sometimes, I literally just dry each one of them. It does make a difference in the way it will bake. So I have heated my oven to 350. I had my pan in there too, so that's a little bit warm. So they are fresh, and you can see various different sizes, really cute. However, you want to make sure that you are cutting the ends a little bit here, and if it's cut a very thin strip, I think this is okay. This is ready to go. I am going to put them in this Ziploc bag as I work through. because I'm going to add a little bit of oil to coat them all around. So that way when they bake, they're not swimming in oil. So you want to coat them all around, and that's the most efficient way that I have found, is to put them in a bag. So you can see this is also very tender, and I can do the second cut too, and that really confirms it. With this asparagus, when you buy it, try and use it that same day. It's just so amazing that we can be near a farm that produces such wonderful vegetables. All right, so this part is ready. This is, I'd say, like about these many are good per person. So a bunch is good for 2. It depends, you know, how much people love asparagus in your family. So you put them in here. Then I'm going to put a bit of salt, and I have the Malden smoked salt today. So put a bit of salt around here too. And you're going to measure this by eye, meaning you're just going to toss a little bit and see if you can cover it. And I'm going to show you the technique here. It's very simple. You close your Ziploc bag and you literally just shake it. And in no time, you have it all covered. So at that point, when you're putting it in the oven on your tray, you don't need to put a lot of oil in there. You already have the oil, and that's all that you're going to need. And that is so much more healthy. So here we go. And you can see this. You can spread them out. This looks awesome. So I've got my asparagus. I'll put it in the oven. I'll be back, and we're going to prep the next thing. Okay, so we have the asparagus in the oven. Now the next thing that I'd like to do is prep the onion for the salad. So we're going to do a very simple salad of just the onion to give it flavoring, and you do that and let it sit with some oil and salt for a bit before you actually toss it all together with the lettuce. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to saute some of these wonderful oyster mushrooms. But I'm going to prep first the onion. And for the amount of lettuce I have, for the bag I have, I believe a whole onion is going to be too much. So I'm going to just use half. It's a fairly large onion. You kind of have to make that judgment, you know, based on how much lettuce you have and how big the onion is. Right here, this, I actually cut it. One side is a bit bigger than the other, and I'm still going to use the smaller one. You don't have to put a ton of it for it to have a strong flavoring. And I'm going to show you that when we mix it in with the oil, it brings a lot of that wonderful flavoring out. So turn it over and then just cut them like this, not super fine. Ooh, I'm going to get tears in just a second. That's what happens. What helps is if you have your hood running. We don't have that here in the studio, but it's okay. All right, so let me show you. I have my big bowl here. I'm going to toss the onion in here, and I'm going to add a generous pinch of salt. So that's a fairly generous one. Of course, if you, for dietary reasons, you need to use less, go ahead. And in here, I probably added just about a 1/4 cup of not olive oil, actually, it's sunflower oil. And the reason you're doing the sunflower oil with the onions is you want to keep the flavoring that comes out of the onion without adding like the olive oil. The olive oil you're going to add as for the salad dressing. Oh, I'm definitely getting tears. So I have got this. And now all I need to do with that is just let it sit. So I'm going to move that aside. And these I'm going to use for the salad dressing, and I'm going to use that later. And I'm going to actually go ahead and use this other cutting board here for my mushrooms. Now, for the mushrooms, I'm going to start my induction stove, induction top here. Let's see. This is always an adventure for me because I don't have one of these at home, but these are amazing because they heat up really fast. Okay, so while I'm cutting, I started the pan. And you always keep that in mind. You add a little bit of oil. I love sunflower oil, so if you can get that, that is fabulous. And let's see, and I have the mushrooms. The mushrooms are so utterly pristine. I get these from the general store in Harvard, and all I'm gonna do is just gonna chop them fine. You notice I'm not even bothering washing because I have a bit of onion from here that I cut. It's totally fine. It will work quite well. You do not need to bother. And I'm just going to cut. You could see the bottoms. I'm cutting them this way. And as I go up, I'm not going to cut as close to it. I'm going to leave them a bit bigger. So you can see these are a bit like florets, like, you know, flowers, and left those. So I'm going to toss inside initially the stems. All right, so here we go. And that's going to go quickly. And the nice thing with mushrooms is that you can basically cook them and then let them sit, and then you can add them to the rest of your dishes. You can heat them up again, but it's not something that you need to serve straight out. And add a little bit of salt to it. You can add a bit of pepper as well. I'm not going to add too much, but a little bit will do. And you can see I'm just going to. All right, so it looks like I need a little bit of more oil. As you see there we go. So I really believe in putting in as little oil as possible while you're cooking, but at the same time, you're not skimping on the taste or on the technique. Oh, there we go. This is amazing. See how this turns? So now is the time to add the rest of it. Okay. And the ones these are oyster mushrooms, as I mentioned, the ones that are florets, so you can leave them so they're not, you know, super cooked. So you're cooking them, sauteing them very lightly. And the other thing is add a little more salt because I just added more mushrooms in there. And we're just about done with the mushrooms. The thing you can do is you can just move it off the stove, turn off your stove. The pan is still gonna be retaining heat, and then we're good with this. And from here, we'll add a little bit to the salad, just a little bit. And then some people may want it, you know, in case they don't eat asparagus or whatnot, have this to the side. So that's it. That's for your sides. You're pretty much ready. And we're gonna move on next to making the chicken. Okay, so we are ready now for making the chicken. I have taken almost a whole clove of garlic, so I just want to show you. I didn't use the whole thing, but almost. And then I'm going to take the garlic crusher and going to crush these. So you take it one at a time, crush the garlic. Now, you can use less garlic by all means. So the whole recipe is about a pound of chicken tenders, and you use almost a whole large thing of garlic. But if you feel like that's going to be way too much garlic for you, by all means use less. But try it with a lot of garlic. There's so much health benefits to garlic, and it does cook, and it will be pretty fast. And actually, as you're coating the chicken, not all of the garlic is going to make it all the way in there, and that's part of the reason you're using a lot of garlic. And then that same bag that I used for the asparagus, I am going to use it again to coat the garlic, and you'll see the ingredients I'm using. This is the one I used for the asparagus. I still have a little bit of oil in there. It's all good. Putting in all the garlic in. Then I am adding salt, and I'm gonna use like 2 handfuls of it. And if you were to measure, it would probably be 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon would be what I'm measuring by hand. So don't do much more because we'll be way too salty at that point. All right, so I have almost a pound in here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to add olive oil. Oh, and I also need some balsamic vinegar. But we definitely need this. We can't skip on it. So 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar. And this is almost the whole secret ingredient. The balsamic vinegar with the garlic and the olive oil just makes it next level. All right, and I'm going to use, let's see, instead of 1/4 cup, it's more like 1/8 of a cup. I'm not measuring it exactly, but I'm doing it at halfway. Okay, and I have really, really good olive oil for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss the chicken in here. You don't need to do anything to it. I love to use the chicken tenders. So I'm moving all the chicken. Here we go. So we have it in the bag, and we're basically gonna mix it all around. It's almost like kneading bread, right? You're just doing all of this. Now, if you'd like to, you could marinate it and use it later if you put it in the refrigerator. However, when you're using the chicken tenders, the marinade goes in so quickly that you really can use it as soon as you'd like. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands, start my pot, and then I'll show you how to cook it. Okay, so we are gonna start cooking the chicken. It's really fast. You use a pan on your stove. I love these cast iron pans, so I highly recommend that. And a little bit of oil. I used a little bit more, not, you know how I usually recommend just very little. You put a touch more than that. Let me show you a trick to see that it's ready. So you put a little bit of water, and if you see it jump up, there you go. You know it is. Now, please stand back if you do that, which is what I had to do right then. Okay, and you just add your chicken. And at this point, turn down your heat. It is going to splatter. I usually use a splatter guard, but because I want you to be able to see as it cooks, I'm gonna skip on doing that. And here we go. Okay. In the pan, there's still like garlic that's left. You can add a little bit on top. Don't worry about, and you can add a little bit on the other side. All right, so let's go back to the heat. Make sure it's on. And it will cook literally in a couple of minutes. All right, let's see how this is doing. Okay, so let's see how this is doing. As it's cooking, it's going to turn a little bit of white around the edges, and that's when you know they're more ready. Meanwhile, I'm going to go check on my asparagus. It might be completely ready. Yep, so the asparagus is completely ready. It is wonderful. When you take it out, it's a good idea to add a touch more salt on top. I think it's really nice. Okay, that's a really big piece of salt. Maybe make it a little smaller. So the asparagus is ready. The mushrooms are ready. We have things getting ready for the salad. All right, let's see how it is. Let me see if it's, yes. All right, there we go. Ready to turn it over, at least that one. This one's good too. Okay. This one probably could use a little more time. So this one that got cooked the fastest, I'm going to move it to the side, over to a side that it seemed like it wasn't cooking as fast, because this one doesn't need as long. All right, so that is great. You can see all of them are cooking very, very well. And this one, I'm gonna turn it over one more time. So if I don't think something got cooked really well on one side, I will just go ahead and go back and cook it one more time. This one over here, you can see it's completely done on that one side. So I'm just cooking it just a little bit longer there. Woo! Be very careful with how these go. So it looks like I really should turn down my heat because it's really splattering. And this is ready. And that is it. So you've got your chicken ready. I'm going to move this off really quick, show you the rest of how to put together the salad, and we'll put the dessert together too. Right. So now we're about to make the salad. So what I have in here is half an onion, half a red onion, a bit of sunflower oil and some salt, and we're gonna finish the dressing and then add some basil, some sorrel if you have it, you don't have to, and then fabulous salad mix from Johnny's Pot Farm in Littleton. Okay, so the first thing first, we're gonna finish the salad dressing, and I am going to add 1 tablespoon of Carr's cider vinegar, and I've used this in the past. This is from Hadley, Massachusetts. So I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon. Okay, and I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So the balsamic vinegar that I have over here, I used it with the chicken. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. After you add all of that, go ahead and mix it. And with the onions, it just really creates that whole base for the salad. Now, some people may eat the red onions. Some people may just leave them on the side. Either way, it adds a lot of flavor to the salad. Our other thing that we're gonna use is we're gonna use a bit of Meyer lemon for the top and a little bit of zest, and basil and the salad mix. So for the basil, I washed it. With basil, be mindful that you're not using all the really heavy stems. You can use the heavy stems, put them in a stock pot. That will work and that will add flavor, but you can see I'm just taking that off straight out. Anything that's a little more woodsy. And this one's actually not as woodsy as the other one. And I'm just gonna chop it really fine. Not really fine, really big. So you're not cutting it really small like you would in a pasta. You're just keeping it very big. Add it in there. I'm gonna add the sorrel. I'm not gonna use the stems, even though the stems are really great. In a salad, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just going to, the sorrel will add more of an acidic touch to it. And I am going to cut my Meyer lemon. I also need to find a grater. And here's my grater. Okay, so I'm going to do just a touch of it. You could grate it before you cut it. I just ended up cutting it already. Okay. So of course you wash the Meyer lemon before you do that. And while you're grating, some of it goes in. Always remember to scrape from the inside because a lot of really goodness is right there. Okay, then I'm gonna squeeze a bit of the lemon and mix it all up and then add the rest of your salad. And this is just a wonderful, wonderful, simple salad, but so delicious. Now, Johnny's Pot Farm always puts in these edible flowers. I like to keep them and add them only at the end, because if you toss them in with everything else, they're kind of gonna get crushed. So yeah, you wanna keep them right at the top. And in this case, I may have like a little too much for 4, so I can have a little bit more for lunch the next day. All right, so I'm gonna mix it all together. Then you can see the salad dressing, it's plenty of it in here. You mix it really well. How amazing is this, that this salad comes in with this? So there you go. You can keep them on the top. They're ready to go. I'll set up the whole meal and then I'll show you what I'm doing for dessert. Okay, so let me show you about making the dessert. What I have for today is I have 3 different types of grapes. I have this one, which is called Honey Pearl, just plain green grapes and plain red grapes that are seedless. I have a little bit of mint. I have 2 mangoes. I have a green mango to show you that this is, you gotta let it sit at home because this is not quite ready. And I have some Meyer lemon and maple syrup. So the first thing that we gotta do is we're going to cut the mango. So to cut the mango, we're going to go this way and then use a bigger knife. All right. And all right, this looks really great. So you can see that this is ripe. It's very juicy. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm just going to add it to my bowl. And it's going to have a lot of juice. That's going to form the base of your dessert. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you why you're not using the green one. I'm going to cut in it just to show you why this wouldn't work. You see how you can even hear it. That's not what you want. So you want to wait on your mango until it's nice and soft and you can sort of, you know, even feel it. Okay, so then cut this way. The other way is you cut over to the side like this and you get all of the mango. And just always use a spoon to remove from the, here we go. All right, and even if some of the chunks are a little bit bigger, it's totally good, it's easy. All right, so you see how fast and easy this is. These ones turn into kind of cubes. And again, you want this juice to come out because it's going to be really fantastic. Now, the next thing we're gonna add is we're gonna add a little bit of lemon. And I'm using Meyer lemon. You don't have to, you can use just regular lemon. And I'm gonna use a little bit more of zest. It's gonna come, all right. You don't need a lot, it really goes a long way. All right, and then I'm going to cut from my grapes. In this case, I am going to cut this other one too, probably after I turn off the segment here on TV. So with the grapes, you don't want to keep them whole, you want to cut them in half. And the reason is, it will just become, all the flavors will just meld so much nicer together. Make sure you have your grapes washed really well. You don't have to have 3 types of grapes, but I recommend at least 2. It will just create a beautiful contrast. There are different flavors, they have different textures. Like these ones are really soft. The green ones are a bit harder, and the red ones are kind of in the middle. So again, you want to cut this, and I'll finish it in just a little while. And the other thing you want to do, besides all of this goodness, is add some mint and a touch of maple syrup. And why a touch of maple syrup? It's not so much for the sweetness, but to just blend all the flavors together. And real maple syrup, of course. We are in New England after all. Okay, so here we go. And I'm not adding a lot of maple syrup. I will show you that I'm just adding 1 teaspoon. Will be more than enough in there. And then I'm going to finish adding the other mango and more of the grapes. And the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to cut a bit of lemon, not lemon, mint. So this is mint from my garden, and you want to add that in. That is a wonderful, wonderful touch. So I will show it to you all together, and I want to show you the bread that we're using with this meal and a cookbook. And I also have one more thing that I want to show you, some flowers and some art behind me. The art is currently at the Harvard General Store, and you can go upstairs. They have several artists, I believe like 5 artists. I just happen to be able to get these pieces out because they're my daughter's. But you can go and enjoy a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. I love their London fog. And let's come back and we'll see all of it put together to enjoy a great meal. And with today's meal, I have some fabulous, fabulous bread. I didn't bake it. I actually got it from Bread Obsession in Lexington. It's a fabulous bakery on Merritt Road. And I have this durum levain, and I'm going to cut it. And I went in the morning and got it. It was warm. It was amazing. So let me cut this and show you. There we go. And it's a moist bread. It's absolutely great. And I have right here ciabattas. You can use this actually as a way to, I'm going to cut it both ways. I'm going to cut one so you see cut as slices. So I'm going to cut it this way. So you can do both things. You can see. And this is very chewy and it's white. It's really, really wonderful. And you can cut it, bigger too, like this. You can dip this in olive oil. Works great. Or you can also cut this and put a sandwich in between. So let's see if I can sort of make my way around here. There we go. So you can also cut it this way and then use it as a sandwich, and you'll see the things that I made does lend itself to that. You can put some salad, and I'll show you how that. You can put some salad, the chicken, and asparagus and mushrooms, and there you have like a fabulous sandwich for a picnic. Whatever you don't have today, you can set it up for the next day. Or you can just make it for sandwiches and ciabattas. But this is the durum levain, again from Bread Obsession in Lexington. Absolutely fabulous bakery. So it's been so wonderful that you've had a chance to watch along with me how I'm making all this great food. I hope you're getting great ideas as the salad or the chicken or the asparagus. And of course we did the flowers, the tulips in the garden, and I want to show you some art. Some of this is hanging at the Harvard General Store upstairs. And if you haven't been there, you can get some great teas and coffees. They even have lunches and sandwiches and great pizza, by the way. And that is upstairs. What else do I want to tell you? Oh, these wonderful pansies. I have bought them not recently. It's actually been a while. When I was taping my show 2 episodes ago, and it's been out in my garden. I took it in on cold nights, but just amazing that it kept blooming, and it's just so gorgeous. So I got this at Springbrook Farm in Littleton, and just amazing. And I always show you some cookbooks. Now, I think I've shown you Cooking with Claudine, Jacques Pepin, but I wanted to mention it again because it's just such a fabulous book. And the other cookbook I want to show you is Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking, Marcella Hazan. She wrote some fabulous cookbooks on Italian cooking. Not many pictures in here, a lot of just writing, but really, really amazing, amazing techniques and ideas for that. So wonderful flowers, wonderful places to go, wonderful flowers to buy, and some cookbooks to take a look at. And here we have it, the whole meal, fabulous, and I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you'll try a couple of things, maybe the chicken or maybe all of it. And let me know what you think. You can email me, Irena at irenarealtygroup.com. I'd love to hear which parts you made and which parts you tried out. And we have the asparagus, the salad, mushrooms from Fat Moon Farm in Westford, and we have wonderful chicken, marinated, very quickly marinated with balsamic vinegar and garlic and olive oil. We have a fabulous dessert of mango and 3 different types of grapes and a bit of Meyer lemon juice. And bread from Bread Obsession. We have the durum levain and we have the ciabatta. And then the other thing we can do is we can actually make a sandwich out of all of this. You can put exactly the chicken on the bottom, the mushrooms next, asparagus and salad, and you have a fabulous sandwich to go. I hope you enjoy it. I wish you all the best, health and joys, and everything good. So till next time, I'll see you then.